Hi guys, it's Celeste from the Arachne Project, and I want to talk to you today about sacred writing space. So, when some people think about sacred writing space or writing space in general, what they tend to think of is a room with a door on it, or perhaps a desk of their own where they can write and display their notes or other writing related memorabilia, maybe some knickknacks or trinkets or things like that that you want to have. And if you're a spiritual person, it may also include spiritual tools that you use to get into your writing rituals or whatever that you have going on. So what I want to talk about today is what's wrong with this idea, because a lot of people kind of argue with it. And while I'm going to talk about why I can appreciate those arguments, I also want to let you know that if you want a sacred writing space, if that's something that you hold dear in your heart, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't want that, okay? In fact, allowing yourself to want it will help you bring it into your life as you go on. So, what is actually wrong with the idea? Well, it depends on how you think about it and what you feel about how you think about it. So, if you have that room or that desk in your home, you probably love it because you wanted it and you made it happen. And that's okay. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having that all figured out and squared away in your life. And it kind of frustrates me when I see people criticizing people for wanting that. And so that's why I insist that if you want it, it's okay to want it. It is okay to let yourself desire that. It's okay to let yourself imagine it. Because if you can't imagine it for yourself and if you don't acknowledge that you want it, then it just becomes another thing in the back of your mind that you feel badly about. You telling yourself, well, I shouldn't need that, or I'm never going to have that, is actually going to block yourself from being able to create it in your life. Okay? So if you don't have it though, and you feel really crappy about not having it, and that is the case for a lot of people, then I want to give you some other things to think about. Okay? Because if you don't have it and you really, really want it and you think that you need it, then that can become a huge block for your writing, a huge obstacle or challenge for you. I have an absolutely beautiful writing space. When we moved into this house 10 years ago, it was a bedroom that was made up completely of knotty pine, and you can sort of see behind me, you can see my little picture. I love dandelions, and the room it looks a little gray in this light, but it's actually a nice sky blue, and I have, these cute little lamps that I like a lot of vintage things, and this is an old house, so we have a lot of things that are from the time frame that the house was built in. And at any rate, it's exactly how I imagined it would be. My husband was able to gut that old bedroom and create for me a room that has been very, very, very supportive for me as a writer since it's been finished for the last 5 years or so. It's helped me start my business, and I've done an awful lot of writing and things like that in here, and I really do love it. Every time I walk into this room, I'm absolutely inspired, and sometimes I'm just blown away by how I was able to recreate the feel of some pictures that I had cut out basically and put on a vision board years ago. The color palette is perfect, and even though the room is a totally different size, everything in here was perfectly selected for the purpose of making me feel at home and feel relaxed and inspired and in that state that I really like to be in when I write. However, I didn't always have this space, okay? Before we lived here in this house and before this room was finished, I wrote in common spaces in my home. We had a shared desk in the living room here, and in the house before this house, my desk was, our shared desk, I should say, was in the dining room. And before that, we had a small office that was off our kitchen that I had to keep the kids gated out. They were very small when we lived there, and I didn't want them getting into anything in the office, so I had like a baby gate up that I was constantly jumping over to get back to my manuscript. So I'm very, very, very well versed at the way that a lot of moms particularly have to write, where you're writing in between peaceful moments with your kids. You know, you get an idea and you get them settled down with a book or a game, and you kind of run across the house to the space wherever you happen to have a desk. And you write until you can get interrupted or whatever, which happens a lot when you're a parent. So anyway, I think the important thing is that I want to talk about is that before I had this outer space, this outer sacred writing space, this office that is everything that I dreamed up and wanted it to be, before I had that, I had to have an inner sacred writing space, because all the outer spaces were shared with my whole family. I didn't have so much as a pen that, you know, wasn't like joint property. And I was really okay with that. I actually wrote one of my manuscripts in my cubicle at work, and that's very much a shared space. So, you know, even though it's a separate cubicle, people would come, you know, I had 15 minutes to write, and people would come knock on my cubicle. They wanted to talk. And I would have to very often, you know, let them know that I was writing and that I didn't want to be bothered. And eventually people in my office understood that that's what I liked to do on breaks when I was in the middle of writing something. So anyway, I didn't always have this space, and there was a time when I was manifesting it. And I did that by having a sacred inner writing space. So, what is inner writing space? This is something that is really important if you don't have the outer space. I think my phone's a little bright here. I'm gonna fix it. All right, there. Your inner writing space is your state of being, okay? It's like your mindset and your beliefs and attitudes about writing and everything around your writing. For some of this inner space can be really chaotic or very clenched up. And a lot of times when somebody starts working with someone like a writing coach, this is kind of what's going on for them, is they're very clenched up or chaotic inside. Their mind can have all these different thoughts and beliefs about writing, and they've kind of made writing hard. And writing space can be, outer writing space can be one of those things that is going on up there in your brain that tells you, oh, I can't write now, you know, because I can't be alone. I'm not in my special place, so I can't write now. And all those chaotic thoughts, what happens is that manifests in your reality. So if you think and believe that you can't write anywhere, you're going to create that in your reality. You will be unable to write anywhere. So what we want to do is create an inner space inside of our mind and inside of our being. I'm going to clear out these self-limiting beliefs, clear out mindsets that are very fixed and determined to kind of make your writing life crap. And the more that you do that, the more that you can manifest a flowing outer reality. So, and from a clear and aligned inner space, you may be able to manifest a writing space of your own. That writing space that you actually want, you may be able to manifest it. Improved flow and order inside of you is going to create more flow and order in the space that you already have, which at first might just be, it might just be a desk. you know, a desk that's tucked in a corner, or a desk that's tucked in a closet, or even a desk that you share. Maybe all you have is like a couple of little folders that are tucked away that you have to pull out that have your writing notes inside of them, or maybe you have documents on your computer that you can pull out. So sometimes that space in the physical world that you have is very, very small at first. And the more that you practice inner flow, the more that you practice clearing out all of the junk and clutter in your mindset and your beliefs, the more you're going to be able to create outer order and outer flow. And not coincidentally, when you sort of get in the mindset of not, so it's not that you don't want it, it's not that you don't want this writing space, because a lot of people will be like, well, you better get used to not having it because you won't always have it. That's fine. Absolutely. I think that you should be able to write in the car. I think that you should be able to write at the airport if that's where you want to write. But if what you really, really want to create is a nice writing space at home that you don't already have, you have to allow yourself to have that wish. You have to allow yourself to think about what that space is going to look like for you. Think about it from even to all the small details, and then let those details kind of go. And the letting go is not telling yourself that you don't want it. It's telling yourself that you're okay, whether you have it or whether you don't. That space of wanting it but not really caring exactly when or how it manifests is the actual inner space. It's the sacred inner space where good things are attracted into your reality. So it's actually manifesting. Manifesting, is that a word? No, I don't think so. It's actually manifesting space inside of you, and it will basically create things and opportunities. It will draw chances and opportunities into your outer reality. So, like in my old place, there was no place in that house for me to have a writing room of my own. I would have had to, we would have had to put the kids in one bedroom. There was only so many rooms in that house, right? So that just wasn't going to happen there. So, but it was okay for me to still want it. And what happened was we ended up buying this house that had an extra room, and then it was an ugly room, right? I didn't want to write in here. It was all naughty pine. It had a nautical light fixture, and it was so dark. It was not inspiring. Maybe I'll share some pictures on my blog of it, the before and the after, and maybe even a few during pictures. But if I hadn't allowed myself to want that, I would have probably allowed this space to be designated as a spare bedroom or a shared office even. But I wanted it for myself, and I was able to state that I wanted it for myself. And I had, I started like picking out the paint color and, what I wanted for shapes in the room. And I wanted it to feel very feminine and girly, because that's something that my husband won't really let me do in the rest of the house. He likes everything to be kind of traditional and like very functional. And he likes pretty things. Don't get me wrong, he does like pretty things. It's just that his taste is very different from mine. So this is like the one place in the house where I just got to have my way and create a really pretty room where I could feel like I felt inspired. And if I hadn't allowed myself to dream it, I would have never been able to ask for it, first of all. I never would have been able to guide him in his creation of it. And I never would have, I just never would have let it happen if I hadn't let myself want it. So, I'll probably talk more about this around here because it is something that I feel very strongly about. Writing space is very important to writers, and I think that it's really critical for you to not box yourself in to anything where you don't want to have too many requirements for writing, because then it becomes easier to procrastinate and put off But it is okay to dream and want things. You know, don't tell yourself that you can't make yourself happy. So I'm gonna let you go. I'll probably do another video sometime soon. I would love it if you guys told me in the comments about your writing space. Where do you like to write? Do you have any do you have any blockages around your writing space? Is there anything that I could do a video on that might help you? Like I said, so leave me a comment, say hello, let me know you're out there. And just so you guys know, I do one-on-one coaching, and you can find all that information on my About page, or you can visit my blog at arachneproject.com. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye.